Facebook is censoring WION. You may have heard about this. If you follow our page on Facebook, you may be seeing less of our content on your news feed. If you have tried to share some of our stories, you may have seen this prompt. It says, false information checked by independent fact checkers. Why are we bringing this up? Because Facebook has rated one of our interviews as fake news. The interview with Dr. Li Mengyan, the Chinese virologist who made world headlines with a sensational claim. She says the Wuhan virus came from a laboratory and Facebook has a problem with that. Earlier today, we got a message from Facebook about this post. One of the pieces we ran on our website, wionnews.com, about the interview. Dr. Yan said Chinese virologists in Wuhan were forced into silence about the outbreak. Now, if you've been following the pandemic, this is not even news. China has tried to silence everyone who spoke about the outbreak. So Dr. Yan said the same in our interview. And we shared a report on Facebook. And today, weeks later, it has been flagged for a misinformation strike. And just on the basis of this one statement, WION's distribution has been reduced, which is bad enough. But wait till you hear more. Facebook itself does not have a role in fact-checking on its own platform. It has outsourced the job to independent fact-checkers. They are the ones making this assessment. In our case, it's an organization called Science Feedback. It seems like they made their assessment without actually going through our reports, because if they had, they would have realized that WION has reported every side of the story. In fact, we are among the few networks that question Dr. Li Mengyan on her claims. Let me take you back to that interview. We ran it on the 22nd of September. It was the first interview that Dr. Li gave in Asia after publishing her study. Now, this study has been widely discredited by the scientific community, and we asked her about this. Take a look. Your paper and your co-authors have been linked to what is called the Rule of Law Society. It's a political organization. It is not a research organization. It is linked to exiled Chinese billionaire Gu Wengui and Steve Bannon, the former chief strategist of US President Donald Trump. And experts say that this affiliation of yours is a conflict of interest. What are your links with the Rule of Law Society, and why do you need the support of a political organization for a research project? The charges against, or the criticism against you is this, that you did not go for a peer review, that your study may have a negative impact on the efforts to fight this pandemic. The University of Hong Kong, where you were doing your research, said that you never conducted any research on human-to-human transmission of the coronavirus, and that your claims have no scientific basis. Why do you think so many scientists from the world over are challenging what you're saying? These were the questions she faced. And in response, she said the Chinese Communist Party is trying to muzzle her voice. Now, let me show you another report from this show, Gravitas, that Facebook again conveniently ignored. We ran this on the 17th of September on WION. We talked about Dr. Li's report at length. We also told you how the scientific community is vocally rejecting her claims and criticizing her, saying her arguments are not backed by data. Our reports in our interview are still available across all our platforms. You must go and take a look at them. And I'm saying all of this not as a justification. This is to expose Facebook's double standards. If you stand up for the freedom of speech, it should apply to all. You cannot pick and choose. You can debunk the theory of a Chinese virologist, but not deny her a platform. We gave her a platform, and Facebook has penalized us. It has limited your access to our stories, without, in fact, going through our coverage. I say this based on the communication we received from Facebook. It sent us a reference article, a fact check of an interview that ran not on WION, but on Fox News. Let that sink in. Facebook is asking us to issue a correction on the basis of this report, and other news outlets that carried a report based on our interview have got similar notices, which brings me to a question. How can Facebook become an arbiter of the truth? How can it censor a journalistic effort to probe a story? You may disagree with Dr. Li Mengyan. You may not even believe her. But does that give you the right to silence her? Is censorship being used in the guise of fighting fake news? Is Facebook just striking at will, branding uncomfortable content as fake just to prove that it's doing something about fake news? Because fake news is a big problem, and Facebook is facing heat. A report came out earlier this year. It says, and I'm quoting, Facebook spreads fake news faster than any other social website. Researchers tracked the internet use of more than 3,000 Americans. This was during the last presidential election, 2016. They found Facebook to be the preferred site for untrustworthy news sources more than 15% of the time. Facebook is the largest social media network on this planet. It has a large volume of content, which also means a large volume of fake news. It doesn't want to get its hands dirty, so it has outsourced the job to independent fact checkers and artificial intelligence. In 2018, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg refused to remove posts that denied the Holocaust. Back then, he said, Facebook must allow users to make unintentional mistakes. Now, today, after intense pressure, Facebook has reversed the stand. So posts that deny or distort the Holocaust will be banned on Facebook. In our case, fact checkers earmarked the name of a Chinese virologist. They labeled everything linked with her name as fake news. And look at their conclusion. I'm quoting, "The virus most likely evolved in natural wildlife populations." Most likely? Is that a fact? Or is it a guess? What kind of fact checking is this? Did they practically investigate the source of the virus, or did they refer to other reports? And by this logic, can Facebook one day tell us that India was the aggressor in Ladakh and not China? Because the fact-checking bots say so. Since Facebook is the arbiter of truth, it can decide what's right and what isn't.